Hello everyone, and welcome to the 25th episode of the Game Design Archive with Edvard and Ludwig. I'm Ludwig, and as always I'm here with Edvard. Hello Edvard.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about why you should not reward the player. Go ahead, Edvard.
Yes. So what do we mean with do not reward the player? Well,
Yes.
it's gonna take some time, I guess, to clarify what we mean. The first big thing, I think, is intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the difference there? Well, the difference is sort of, at least our definition of it, right? That is the activity motivating in and of itself, or is it trying to give you external rewards? And
so to clarify, intrinsic is that the activity is motivating in itself, whereas extrinsic is you're doing it for the reward, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you could also argue that you don't get anything out of playing a game, right? So it's all intrinsic, but I would argue no, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, progression stuff. So yeah. We thought about it a bit, right? And we think mostly games that have rewards within the game doesn't work, I guess, right?
Yeah.
With some minor exceptions, I guess. But I don't even know if that's exceptions because of the... how should I say this? Are the exceptions... help me a bit here.
Like, are they the exception that proves the rule? Do you mean it that way?
Yeah, or I mean, they might be there. Even the intrinsic rewards are strong enough, and the extrinsic rewards are just there, right?
Yeah.
And a comparison we wanted to make is to real hobbies, right?
Yeah.
I say real hobbies. Oh boy. I mean, I would argue that playing video games is a real hobby. A lot of people don't think that, right? Especially people that are concerned about things like productivity and stuff, right? They clump gaming together with stuff like social media.
Yeah, and like watching TV shows.
Yeah, and watching TV and stuff. And it's stuff that you should avoid, is what they're saying, because it's just... Basically, it's just extrinsic motivation, right? It's just you get dopamine and blah, 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 right? And normally I would say, I don't know. I don't think they're wrong, is my point, because I just think, or I think they are misinformed. No, that's not true either. They're not misinformed, because the majority of people are playing games that are just extrinsic motivation, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they see because they're not playing a lot of games, right? Which is fine. I'm not saying they should need to play games, right? So from their perspective, it makes sense. But my point is that if you play games that are intrinsically motivating, gaming is a real hobby, right?
Yeah.
If you compare it to some other hobby, right? I mean, okay, let's make a dumb argument. Let's say you're playing an instrument or something. You could argue that an extrinsic motivation is buying a new instrument or whatever, right? Or something. Yeah. Or you buy new material for your woodworking or whatever. But that shouldn't... Right, if you're doing the hobby for that, then maybe that's not...
Which I think it's actually pretty funny that you bring up, because like... So I see something like playing an instrument as a real hobby, right? It's like you're playing an instrument because either you want to become good at it, or you want to like, I don't know, share music with your friends, or you want to like, whatever. It's like, it's very intrinsic in that way. It's like, I play guitar because I enjoy playing guitar, or I want to get good at it. But I think it's actually very funny that you bring that up, because I think that nowadays, maybe it was like that before, but like, with social media, it becomes even more visible. It seems like there's a lot of focus on, like what you said, like buying a bunch of stuff, right? It's like, I need to buy the best guitar, I need to buy this and that and that. and
or in the music production world, right? Where if you're like an amateur production person, you'll buy a bunch of digital audio tools, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of you buy them and try them out, and then you move on, right?
Yeah.
You're not producing any music.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, the same thing obviously is happening in games, right? Where people just buy games or play through games. And yeah, I don't know. To me, I sort of want to move away from that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you should never do anything that's extrinsically motivating, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fine to waste some time. Some people think that you shouldn't waste any time. I'm not like that. I think it's kind of nice to waste some time. But it shouldn't. The problem for me, especially with gaming, is that a lot of people, and you see this with TV shows as well, actually. But gaming is worse, I think, where people they take on the identity, right? So their identity is defined by their hobby, which is, well, in my opinion, not a real hobby, because it's just the rewards, right? They're not pursuing the intrinsically motivating part of games. Yeah, man, this is getting very like abstract. Yeah, but I think you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
it's like the thing that is interesting about games is the systems and how they interact and how you learn them. It's exactly the same thing as with music, where the interesting part is, you know, the music and how it sounds and how sound works and what. I mean, maybe you don't think about it. If you want to learn to play guitar, you want to be good at the guitar, right? But if you're actually doing it as a real hobby, you're not gonna just think about getting good. It's sort of the activity of, you know, moving your hand on the strings and stuff that is in itself like interesting and motivating, right? Yeah. Otherwise you stop, which most people do, right? They go, oh, I'm gonna become the best guitarist ever, and then they quit. Yeah. And for me, for games to be interesting as a real hobby, it has to be the same, right? It can't be, oh, anyone can just jump in and play forever, right? It needs to have the same feel, where it's, no, you actually need to put in some effort, because if you don't need to put in any effort, then there is no nothing like intrinsically interesting about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think this goes back a lot to, like, I think it was episode 22 where we talked about like how game designers don't actually like interact with games like actively anymore. And like I think it's how should I say this? Like, it's very related to this topic, how like people who play games aren't actually interested in engaging with games and learning them and getting better at them. Yeah. They just want their time wasted, right? Yeah. They want to play World of Warcraft and they want to grind for a new mount for like 50 hours. And they want to like drool while they're doing it. They don't want to like play something that challenges them, or play something that's uncomfortable for them, or play something that's unconventional, or whatever you want to call it, right? It's like people just want their time wasted. And I think it's, you know, if you look at something like TV shows, it's very much the same.
Yeah, but to be clear, I I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily.
No, yeah.
It's just if you're thinking of gaming as your serious hobby, then it's a problem to me, right? Yeah. So if it's like, oh, you're I don't know, you're the CEO of a big company and you work 12 hours a day, and then you go home and play some, you know, action game where you just tap about, you know, like some very with a lot of dopamine, right? I mean, obviously that's your like thing to stop, you know. That's that person's way to like calm down or whatever, right? And I don't mind that at all. I think that's great that exists as well. I just think it's a problem that people that talk about games as you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, like the fact that it's part
of
serious
people in the, you know, whatever sphere, right?
Yeah.
Those people
like it's
are
actually
not
part of the game discussion or game design discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then there is parallels, right? So I think you could argue that people that take story very seriously could have let's say we have games that are just story, right? So visual novels or more
walking
narrative game, right? Those are completely fine, right? To me, but they need to have that intrinsic motivation still, right? In their story somehow, or something for it to be. I mean, it's a bit unfair. It doesn't have to have that. My point is that the designer, or the people that are playing those kinds of games, needs to need is the wrong word. They how should I say this? Like the developers can obviously make games for more general audiences. That's fine, right? But the people that are very interested, again, okay, hobby, right? If it's their hobby to play games like this, story-heavy games or whatever, then they can play some bad ones. I shouldn't say bad ones, but addicting ones, like bad as junk food bad, right?
Yeah.
But they should think about the ones where there is more, again, intrinsic motivation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one game that's a pretty good example that does this right is the Stanley Parable, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it a bit before, like we started recording, and it's like that game. You haven't played it, right? No. That game is like, it's basically a comedy game, right? Where it's like you're playing an office worker and there's a narrator, and like the office is suddenly empty and you're like walking around, and then the narrator says like, oh, Stanley walked up to the 2 doors and he picked the left one. And then if you go to the left door, like the narrator keeps talking as if you picked the left one. But if you go to the right one, the narrator goes, wow, Stanley is stupid. He picked the right door even though he was supposed to pick the left door, and stuff like that. And that game doesn't have any rewards, right? It's only pure story. It's like
it's driven
you're
by
playing the game.
Like, what you get out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's very much like it's in a way it's very like player experimentation like oriented, where it's like the player hears the narrator say Stanley goes to the left door, and so the player thinks, okay, what happens if I go to the right door?
Yeah.
And then
it's playing on like, the fact that it's a narrative but you have control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's very intrinsically motivated in that way, right? So it's not like, I guess I want to clarify that it's not necessarily that the game has to be super challenging, right, or something. It's that like in the Stanley Parable, the gameplay comes from like the player's intrinsic motivation to like explore what happens if he like doesn't do what the narrator says. And obviously the Stanley Parable is sort of like a comedy game, right? But I think it can be done seriously too.
I'm thinking like Lucas Pope games as well, right? It's sort of the same thing with Papers, Please and Obra Dinn.
Obra Dinn does have more gameplay, right? Because it's more of a puzzly.
Yeah, sure, maybe.
I haven't actually played the Papers, Please, but
I mean, you play, but I feel like they're not. Maybe I'm being mean to them, but I feel like the challenge is not in the game, like mechanically. It's more like mentally. How should I say this? Like with the like Papers, Please thing, it's about the you're on the border thing, and it's about the narrative challenge or whatever, right? About the people and stuff, right? So there are obviously a lot of different ways to get to this point we're making, right? So it's not, we're not saying that the game needs to be challenging and that's how you make it intrinsic. I mean, you could argue it is to make it challenging. It's not necessarily mechanically challenging, right? It could be challenging your, like a story would challenge your ideas or something, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of that thing.
Exactly.
Yes, and so, and obviously, I think we already mentioned it, but I'll bring it up again. There can still be intrinsic rewards, but I feel like most of the time they don't add anything. I don't know.
Do you mean extrinsic? You said intrinsic.
Yes, extrinsic. Exactly.
Yeah.
Extrinsic.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, a good example we could discuss a bit here is RPGs. Are they extrinsic or intrinsic motivation? The progression systems in RPGs, and I think it's sort of a, I don't know, gray area, I guess.
Yeah, gray area.
Yeah.
Because
go ahead.
Yeah, because you could argue that like getting epic gear is an extrinsic reward, right? And I would argue that in many cases it is.
It is
like
in a lot of games.
In like World of Warcraft, for example. That's a very classic example. It's like you're grinding gear to get the higher numbers, and that's it basically. There's nothing deeper there. But you know, a lot of RPGs are a lot better and have more gameplay, in my opinion, right? And in those ones, it's more like, okay, I get some new gear, and like, sure, maybe it's technically a reward, like I opened a box on the level, or I killed an enemy and he dropped the loot or whatever, but like it's also part of the gameplay, right? It's like, okay, what do I do with this sword? Who do I put it on? And stuff like that. And so it becomes more of a gray area, as you say.
Yeah, I think it's also it ties into long-term and short-term gameplay games. That was a very weird way to say it. What I mean is something like a roguelike, like Binding of Isaac, for example.
Yeah.
The rewards you get in Binding of Isaac is not, I mean, in the gameplay, right? Because there is also extrinsic motivation stuff in Binding of Isaac, with like you unlock characters, for example.
Yeah.
But in the gameplay you find items, but that's tied to that run. That's sort of the mechanics of that game. That's not. You don't get anything, right? That's not a reward. I mean, it's a reward in the gameplay, but it's a bit of a harder thing to define there, I guess. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the main sort of distinction is like, is it part of the gameplay, right? So, that doesn't really work either, because you could argue that the loot in World of Warcraft is part of the gameplay,
that was like the first point. That you could argue that all of this is part of the game because you're not getting anything out of the game, right? You're not getting real money, for example. So, I mean, in some cases you do, actually, because you could.
Yeah.
Actually, that's sort of an interesting point to make, because if it has real world value, then so for like, there are people that sell gold and stuff in World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not officially, but on sites, and I don't know if people do it anymore, but I know people did it. So that's sort of interesting, right? Actually, or items and stuff. And so that's actually a very good point. There's also auction houses and stuff in those games.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because then it is actually truly, outside the game. You can just trade your money that you earn from another extrinsically motivating task, your job, right? For this extrinsically motivating task.
Yeah.
Huh. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
It becomes very very philosophical and weird and hard to define.
No, it was very interesting. It actually makes it worse for me.
Yeah.
Like playing those games. Because it's showing even more how much of the gameplay is just the means for the rewards, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you don't want to grind for this thing? You can just buy it with real money. Right. It's like, why wouldn't you want to grind for the thing if that's the gameplay, right? Like, if the gameplay is actually good, you wouldn't want to like pay to circumvent the gameplay.
That's actually
and
crazy.
It becomes very obvious what kind of game that is.
Because skins in multiplayer games is a bit different, because they are just, you don't earn those, right? I guess they have made it so you kind of earn them with these battle passes and stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Man, modern games are trash. Fuck. Yeah. Yes. Where were we? We were. Yeah.
Maybe we can move on a bit because I wanted to talk about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement.
Go ahead.
So, because I feel like in a lot of game design discussion, a lot of people seem to claim that you should strive to mainly positively reinforce the player. And for those of you that don't know what this means, or just like to clarify what I mean by this, it's like a lot of designers seem to say that you shouldn't punish the player for doing something wrong, you should reward the player for doing something right. And I don't agree with this. And part of this, and I think the largest part of this, is sort of, wow, we're going very philosophical here this episode, but like learning from your mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everybody knows that, like, when you make a mistake, you learn a lot from it, like in real life, in video games, in whatever. And so saying that you shouldn't punish the player for mistakes already like rings a warning bell for me, because like the way that I learn to play games is that I experiment and then I see what works and what doesn't, right? Like if there's a hard game, do you want to say something?
I was gonna say I agree with what you're saying, that for me, when I play a game, if it's you can tell very quickly if it's a, in my opinion, right, good game or not, because it will immediately shut you down if you try to do something.
Yeah.
And so you get immediate feedback about is this the correct or not correct thing to do? And if that thing takes too long, then I get bored.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do the thing you said, where, I mean, I don't know if the right word is to punish the player, right? It's more like don't reward them, right? Because I don't even know if I would say it's punishing to lose.
Well, I think that depends on who you ask, right? Because I know a lot of people who say, like, you know, dying in a run-based game is a waste of your time. We've talked about that previously, right?
Right, but
we don't agree with that.
Exactly. So the goal, there's a ton of goals, right? But one of the goals is getting to the end, right? And not dying. But you're not getting punished for dying. It's just you didn't get to the goal, right?
Yeah.
You're not there yet. You're still practicing to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but there's another aspect to this that I think is a bit underrated, and that's that I don't think positive reinforcement works either, right? Because the argument is you should reward the player for doing the right thing, not punish them for doing the wrong thing.
Well, yeah, that's meta progression, so obviously.
Well, yes, and we'll get to that later. But I think even if it's not meta progression related, right? It's like positive reinforcement. I feel like a lot of games do that, where it doesn't really work. And I'm trying to think of an example. But basically what I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of games that that allow you to play well, where like technically you can play well, but because the game doesn't require you to, I don't do it, right? I feel like that's a very common thread. Like there are games that are like super deep. Like I think character action games in a way are like this, where it's like, well, technically you can like juggle the enemy and do a bunch of weird combos, like, you know, Devil May Cry or whatever, where it's like you can do a bunch of weird combos, or you can just like kill the enemy in a very slow and boring way, and like it works just as well. It's just more tedious, right? Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the game, I think, and how hard it is, and I guess there are some other motivations there with the score or something, right? So, but yes, I see what you're saying, but I'm still not completely sure about the positive motivation. I feel like I need an example of some kind. Because I understand meta progression, positive reinforcement. There it's you lost your run, but here you go. Here is another point of HP, so next time it's easier, right?
Well, I mean something like a combo or score system or whatever in Devil May Cry is a pretty good example of that. Because like, the game rewards you for like doing a bunch of advanced complex combos, right? But it doesn't really punish you for not doing that. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or should I come up with something?
No, I see what you're saying. That's an interesting viewpoint, actually.
And I feel like I know a lot of people like enjoy the Devil May Cry games. I'm not saying it's objectively bad, right? But for me, that doesn't really work, because what ends up happening for me when I play the games is that I just don't do the crazy combos, and I just finish the level with a low score, right?
Yeah, so you're saying that you don't like the fact that the game has
positive reinforcement in a way.
I mean, it doesn't positively reinforce, does it?
Yeah, because it gives you a higher score or whatever. And I'm sure like it buffs you a bit and stuff like that. But my main point is that if the game negatively reinforced me, like if the game said, no, you're not getting past this enemy unless you're doing the weird epic combo shit, then I would do the weird epic combo shit. But I don't, because I don't need to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think...
I don't know if I think of it in that way. But that's still a good point. Because I don't know if I would say that's positive reinforcement, but I see how you're seeing it, that, I guess.
And there, I guess in regards to negative reinforcement, I do actually have an example of a game that does negative reinforcement in a way that a lot of people enjoy, that I haven't played much at all, and that's Escape from Tarkov, right? So Escape from Tarkov is like the game that popularized the like extraction shooter genre thing, whatever, where it's like you have gear and then you go out into the map and it's like PvPvE and you go around and loot and then you need to extract, and if you die you lose all the gear you've picked up and all the gear you brought with you into the mission. And this type of game is very popular, right? A lot of people enjoy Escape from Tarkov and like Tarkov-like games. I think like Arc Raiders released, what was it, last month, and that's super popular as well. Yeah. And those kinds of games have a lot of negative reinforcement, right? It's like, if you die, you lose everything. And the thing about these games that people who play these games say is positive about the game is that it's super tense, right? It's like, when you're in a situation, like, when you're in combat in Tarkov, it's super tense because if you lose, you risk losing all your gear, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is a very good example of how negative reinforcement is actually good, because without the negative reinforcement, without the risk of losing your gear, like losing everything you have, without that risk, the game wouldn't actually be tense. If you died and you like automatically respawned with all of the gear you already had, Tarkov wouldn't be good, right? And so I think that a lot of people say that you shouldn't have negative reinforcement, but a lot of people enjoy negative reinforcement.
Yeah, but I would say that game has both, right? Because you still get positive reinforcement if you keep your stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it goes both ways. I think.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that games shouldn't have positive reinforcement. Like, you could argue, for example, that beating a boss in a difficult game is positive reinforcement because it like lets you move on to the rest of the game.
I wouldn't say what so. I'm saying is, for me, if we're gonna talk about reinforcement as in like adding to the, so there is a positive, you're getting positive feedback from the game, which is you beat it so you can progress, but you're not reinforcing that. Reinforcing that is, oh, you get a new weapon.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's adding to the already inherent, which again, that's not necessarily bad. I'm just saying that's,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And negative would then be the opposite. That would be, oh, you didn't beat the boss, so you lost your weapon or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess Tarkov has both then.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess then necessarily like positive reinforcement isn't necessarily bad, right?
Yeah, no, maybe it is. I don't think so. But I think...
Yeah, but I think...
the way they... I agree with you that the way people talk about it, designers, I mean, mostly, right, is very strange because it's feeding into this idea that the game should keep you in flow, right? And to keep you in flow, that you'll positively reinforce. I mean, the best example is meta progression, because that is the worst kind, because you have your gameplay loop, and to keep you in the loop and in the flow, you reward the player for getting further so that they feel good, so that they keep going, instead of just getting the intrinsic motivation. So if we may take a run-based game again, if we did, it doesn't even have to be a roguelike. If we just have a run-based game, A lot of people will argue that, like you said, it's a waste of time because if I get here, I have to redo it all, right? They're wrong, but that's what people say, right? And so if you add rewards, well then somehow, honestly, I mean, I shouldn't say I don't understand. I sort of understand, but I feel like you would get out of this pretty quick if you actually care. That yeah, now it's worth it because I'll get a new weapon or something.
Yeah.
Right. And and then you keep going, right? Because it becomes easier to get further. Yeah. Which ruins the game loop and the intrinsic motivation. So the entire game becomes a grind fest where you just grind the runs until you get the gear, so you just get to the end, which is completely uninteresting. So that, for me, that's the bad side of positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I absolutely.
But positively reinforcing something you did that was good, I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad. I think you just need to balance it, like you said. You can't just give stuff and not punish, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess, like, what I actually wanted to say is not necessarily that positive reinforcement is bad, it's that negative reinforcement is good. Like, that's the important takeaway of what I said, I think, at least.
Because I think you could make it more, if you take the meta progression again, you could probably make a more interesting meta progression system if you lost stuff, right?
Yeah, that's
so it's point. More like Tarkov, where it's, you get rewards based on how far you got, but you also lose rewards. Yeah. Right. So you get gear, but then you take that gear with you, and then you lose that gear on the run or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that would actually probably work.
Yeah.
Like it would be hard to balance. Like even Tarkov suffers from balance issues, right? Because after a while, players just end up having a bunch of gear and then nothing matters. But like if you actually balance that, I think that would work. Actually,
I mean, you still have a goal in a roguelike game, so that the balance would be you beat the game, I guess.
Yeah. True.
I want to go back to your example though, because I wasn't completely clear what you meant about the scoring stuff. So what are you saying, that you need a reward from the game for that to be worth it, essentially?
No, I'm more saying that you need a punishment for not doing it.
Sure, but let's say you get I don't know. Let's say you get more something. The game is really hard, and you get more heal items if you shave or something.
That's actually a pretty good example. What's the game called? That shmup.
I mean, a lot.
Blue Revolver.
Most of them do.
Well, most of them do that, but like I first realized this when I played Blue Revolver, because I was like I find scoring systems to be pretty meaningless. Sorry. But then I played Blue Revolver, and one thing that did, and as you said, like a lot of shmups do it, so it's not like it's super original, but it gave you lives when you got more score, right? And I feel like that's actually a pretty good point, because that's positive reinforcement, right? And I do think that that's a well-designed system, where it's like you are positively reinforced by getting new lives for actually going for higher scores.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel. I think I feel like they're fine, but I agree with you that they should have something that encourages you to play in the style of the scoring system. It shouldn't be completely external. But then again, I still feel like it is kind of interesting to have scoring systems, because it sort of gives the game, because all games have I shouldn't say all, but basically all games have playstyles that are, more games are exploitable, right? So you'll find playstyles that are exploiting the systems, and scoring systems can clarify what the goals of the design are, if they're done well, right? So they will encourage you to play in a way that's more fun, right?
Yeah.
This is, the sort of thing where designers say that you've talked about this before, where, protect from themselves stuff, right? A scoring system can clarify that, no, it's actually not a good idea to turtle in the corner, even though that's better, right? Because you'll get less score. I think that is helpful still. I think that's a good. I mean, the game should try to not be cheesable, obviously, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I still think that helps, and I still think that's interesting because it gives something to people that really enjoy the game to do, right? I still think I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, but I think my main point is that like, if turtling is like turtling in the corner, if that's a valid strat, then I think it's more effective to negatively reinforce turtling than to positively reinforce not turtling. Is kind of what I'm saying. It's like, if the game punishes you for turtling, I will be less inclined to turtle than if the game rewards me for it. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? I think score systems are maybe a bit of a gray zone. I think a better example of this, like the point I'm trying to make, is in like speedrun games, which are really popular right now, where it's like, if you play the game well, you speedrun and you get a good score, but if you don't, you complete the level but you're slow. Like, do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, it doesn't actually matter if you're fast or not. Like, some games do it better than others. Like, we've talked about Blood Thief before, and I think that's a pretty good speedrun game. But some speedrun games that I've played like are super bad, where it's like, like the actual time, like the actual time you get doesn't matter. It's just like, I guess it's kind of funny because it goes back to like extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. It's like, there's no extrinsic motivation for getting a good time. Or maybe, well, no, maybe it's now we're getting into weird philosophical territory again. Like, maybe it's a bit of both, because I feel like when I play speedrun games, I find them pretty boring because I'm not forced to go fast. Like, I'm not forced to actually go fast. I can just be bad at the game and go slow instead. And I think that's one of the reasons why they are popular in a way, because like in modern game design theory, whatever you want to call it, that sort of optional difficulty is very in fashion, I guess you could say, right? And so it's like, you can go fast if you want to, but it's also fine if you go slow. And like, that doesn't really work for me, because what ends up happening is that I just go slow because I don't put into any effort into learning the game, because I don't need to. And what I'm realizing now is that it sort of goes back to like intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, right? It's like, I don't have any intrinsic motivation to beat the game in a good way, I guess. Do you kind of get where I'm going here? Maybe I'm
yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with this. I think there is intrinsic, or you could potentially argue there is intrinsic motivation there, right? Where if we take some other, like if we go back to scoring, right?
Yeah.
You could put a lot of hours into figuring out how to score that well, and that would just be intrinsic motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that's still interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that giving you rewards for that is, like, if you get meta progression rewards for it, then it's extrinsic, right? But if you get rewards in the game, that's just encouraging you to play the game in the way the scoring intended.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't know if I care as much as you do. I think just the scoring needs to be interesting. That's basically the thing. So, and if it's interesting and it aligns well with the game, which is sort of what you want it to align with the game more. I'm fine with both. But I see your issue, which is for speedrunning games, a lot of them. It is so subjective. I think it's too generalizing to speak about them like this, right? That's my point.
Yeah.
Because if you have a speedrunning game, it can be like you said. Oh, you can just have such a bad time and still go through it, right? So the game didn't even ask anything of you, right?
Yeah.
And that's obviously bad, but I mean, there's a lot of ways around that. Like, you can't have a bad time, that bad time, or something. You didn't beat the level if you didn't get this time, or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, I guess maybe maybe you're right. Maybe there is something to that. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe like your original argument might be right. Actually, that telling the player that no, actually, you need this amount. If you didn't beat the level because your time is too slow. Yeah. Which would be, I mean, it's not negative reinforcement, but you're punishing the player if they're not playing well enough, I guess.
Yeah, because I feel like...
That is actually sort of an interesting point. I think more games should explore that, where the way of playing... Because if you take shmups, for example, right? A lot of them have scoring systems, but they're also very... I mean, you know, like bullet hell shmups or whatever. They're also very hard anyways. So...
Yeah.
I mean, subjectively, obviously, there's probably someone watching that's like, they're easy, okay.
Yeah.
God gamer. I'm not God gamer, I'm sorry. So they're still demanding without the scoring, right? But then again, you want to kind of play into the scoring because of the one-ups or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like... going back to like speedrun games, I feel like I'm not a fan of the speedrun game genre, and I think the reason for that is because of the lack of negative reinforcement. And I think if someone made a speedrun game that like actually punished you for being slow, like actually said you don't get to like get past this point, which once again I said that before, Blood Thief does that. But I don't think it does that enough. Like, it's a bit too little for me. It could do it more. Yeah. And I think if a speedrun game did that, like, to the extreme, where it's like, no, fuck you need to go fast, and you need to be super, super fast, or you're gonna die, or whatever. I think if a speedrun game did that, I would actually enjoy speedrun games.
Yep.
Yeah. There was one more thing related to negative reinforcement that I wanted to talk about. If you didn't have anything else to say about... Yeah, so I play a lot of CS. I say this in almost every episode, right? And I feel like a lot of... Well, this is more like competitive gaming related more than specifically to CS. But I feel like a lot of competitive game designers or design-interested people who talk about competitive games see losing as something bad, right? Like design-wise, it's like if they're like losing in CS, for example, losing 13-0 in CS is objectively bad.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm here to say that that's not really the case. And the reason for that is that
matchmaking failed.
no, but like, cause losing sucks. Yes, and I think a lot of designers see that, and they don't think any further, and they just say losing sucks, so we should remove losing, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that if you don't have losing, winning doesn't matter, right? Yeah. That's sort of my main point. Like, if you can't lose 13-0 to someone in Counter-Strike, then winning 13-0 doesn't feel good, right? That's sort of what I'm talking about. Yes. So I feel like a lot of designers...
winning 13-0, I don't know if that feels good.
That's it's a bit boring, right? But like, yeah.
But it shouldn't be... It wouldn't be more interesting if they just gave some of the rounds to the other team, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be they are just better players, right? The problem is it's unbalanced, right? There's bad players on one team. I want to point one thing out, though. Which we have talked about before, which ties into what you said, which is that the designers are doing this on purpose, I'm pretty sure, because what they want, I am almost certain of it, is they want an MMO, right? They want to be making an MMO because that's nice money, right? You make a lot of money, but they have a competitive game, so they're trying to hide, or no, they're trying to... they're not trying to hide. They're trying to shave off as much of the competitiveness as possible, and make it as much of an MMO style game, right?
Like
just grind live service stuff. With a competitive skin on top, right?
Yeah.
Look, this is a competitive game, but actually, underneath it's just a Skinner box about randomly giving you wins and losses and rewards. So I understand why it is the way it is in that case. I obviously think it's super lame, but yeah, continue.
I guess what I wanted to say is like, well, this isn't technically just about competitive games. This is also about like hard games in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's like the designer.
It applies there as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Rewards and
Because
Assassin's Creed.
There seems to be this sentiment that like, I guess this is what I said before, like, but like losing is boring and so we should remove the ability to lose. But like losing is important because first of all, as we've talked about previously, like in this episode, losing teaches you something, right? If you lose, like if I lose 13-0, like maybe if I lose 13-0, I lose so badly that I don't have any clue what I did wrong. But like generally, if I lose, I see, oh shit, I did something wrong. Maybe I could have done this better or that better, or I should practice my aim or whatever. That's the first point where like losing is actually valuable. It's not a waste of time, right? As we talked about before also. But then there's also the fact that like losing makes winning fun. Right? So classic example, I don't know, Dark Souls, whatever. It's like the reason that beating a Dark Souls boss is fun is because the Dark Souls boss is hard. And like the feeling you get from beating a super hard boss that's like fucked you up 100 times before is a billion times like stronger and more positive than if you did it your first try. And it seems like a lot of designers are trying or assuming that they can get that like very strong positive feeling of like beating the boss after a million tries without actually having the player go through a million tries. And I feel like that's stupid in a way. It's like you shouldn't remove the losing and the punishment and whatever from your game because it makes actually succeeding way more fun.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to have the losing, but you have to have the losing somewhere because I mean you're right that it will be more encouraging. But my point is if you play a lot of Souls games or whatever, you're obviously gonna struggle less than someone that doesn't.
Yeah.
So. But you could also, I guess, argue that you will get a less strong positive feeling of beating that boss because you're more used to how it feels. But I think it can still be interesting. I think the point is there needs to be interesting things going on, and you get that by playing a lot. I guess I think it's easier again if we compare it to other hobbies. It's sort of, okay, I play the guitar. Well, if the guitar plays itself, why am I playing the guitar? I don't know that maybe that's a bad way to put it, but it has to be sort of, the thing needs to be that the activity is demanding, right? Because that's what's interesting about the activity.
Yeah.
Man, my point is that executing demanding tasks is interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, the more skilled you are, the more demanding it needs to be, obviously, to be interesting. But it's not only because that makes it sound like, oh, it's just about being good and being a show off, right? But it's not about that only. It's sort of this thing, like well, if we compare it to puzzle games, for example, that's sort of more mind stuff, right? Not reflexes.
Yeah.
And there it's what is. I mean, there's a lot of things interesting, but one thing is the fact that you realize things about this system, right? You get a new perspective, right? Yeah. It's sort of like reading a good book or whatever, where it's giving you new perspective. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think doing something that challenges you is more productive than doing something that's easy, right? Like, not even just video games. It's like in general for real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, if you look at people that, we started this discussion off with talking about people that discuss productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where they put games in the bad side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they always argue that doing stuff that I don't know what word to use, like
challenges
you.
you.
Challenges you is more rewarding, right? Or like it makes you
putting yourself out of your comfort
zone. It literally makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
It's not like if you do activities that are not demanding anything of you, that are just, it's sort of this another good way to look at it is sort of like consume versus produce. Even though it's even more abstract, right? Where if you watch a lot of stuff, you're consuming it, right? So you're like consuming games. If you look at it in that way, you're consuming a game, right? Or consuming a movie or whatever. Versus producing, where you're like, you're producing like, let's say you're writing a book, then it's very concrete, right? It's you're literally producing a book. You're writing a book, or you're writing a song or whatever, or you're writing a piece of music. Yeah. But that still applies to, like, in my mind at least, maybe you disagree, things that doesn't necessarily produce a product, right? Yeah, it's sort of still you're producing a skill set or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's like playing a game that actively like challenges you and your preconceived notions about the world or whatever is productive.
Yeah. Even if it's very abstract, right? Because that's the sort of problem. Because it's in a book, you can make. I mean, that's not true actually, but people will argue like, "Oh, you read a book and the moral of the story was this, right?" And so you can concretely say what the value was of reading this book, right? You get this out of it. I think that's not true. I think it's more abstract as well. It's just easier to see that as the thing, right? But with games, it's very not obvious. It's very abstract. So it's what you're getting out of it is. I mean, you could argue some skills like, okay, you play hard games, maybe you get better at like anger management or something. I don't know. That's a real skill. But still, I think a lot of the skills you get are very, or like the way it changes your perspective of the world or whatever. Man, that's very philosophical. It's very abstract. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. I mean, it might not be to you. That's the point, right? Because some people argue that it needs to be valuable to a lot of people or whatever. But I don't agree with, right? For me, a productive activity doesn't have to create a lot of value for other people necessarily, right? Because some people will argue, you need, again, productivity people, right, will argue that, you should just, I don't know, if you want to write a book, man, I think you get what I'm saying. It's like like activities that just because let's say we're doing woodworking, right? That doesn't necessarily, I mean, it produces something you can use, I guess. I don't know. My point is that I think you get it. I don't need to.
I get
people listening understand as well. Our listeners are very smart, so I think they understand.
I guess what you're saying is playing meaningful games is meaningful.
Exactly. And playing not meaningful games is not
a waste of time.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And I think that's true. And I guess to tie all this like philosophical weird half of topic stuff back into the main topic of the video, it's like valuable games are games that like strongly encourage intrinsic motivation, right?
Yeah, they're worthy of themselves.
Yeah. And oftentimes that means they're hard, but not always, as we've talked about.
Like they are hard in some way, though, or like challenging in some way. I feel like that. I mean, I guess you could have like an arty game or something, but I feel like that still challenges something. Yeah. In some way, you could argue, right? It's something about.
Yeah, well, it challenges your mind or conception of society.
Yeah, or conception of like environments or something. I don't know. I think that's
exactly.
I think.
I think the main like difference with video games, right, is because the player is actively engaging with the game, right? It becomes slightly different because in a book you can read the deep stuff without understanding it, right? Whereas in games, if you don't understand the deep stuff, then you're not progressing in the game, right? Because you're losing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like if you made a game that's you just walk around, like let's say you're walking around an island. You're on an island, a forest island, and all you can do is walking around this island. There's no gameplay. You can just walk around. You can still make an interesting game with that. It's just that the challenges would have to be your observation skills, right? There's something like you see this island when you start, right? Oh, this is just a normal island, and then you like as you go around and look at things, you see, your perception about what this island actually is might change or something, right?
Yeah. Now you're basically describing the witness.
Well, the witness has gameplay. So
right.
I mean, if you even if you don't have gameplay, if you just walk around, that's sort of an issue also, which honestly we need to make a video about this at some point. That video game as a term is too broad. Like it's really hard to discuss anything because there is so many pieces that, I mean, I think we mentioned this before, like no one would put like Titanic and football in the same category, right? But that's what video games are. You can put those two and compare them and say which one is better. That doesn't work. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, do you have anything else you want to share?
I guess we wanted to talk a bit about cutscenes.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I don't have a lot to say. I guess I'll say I think a lot of games these days have that as an extrinsic reward. I don't like that at all. Actually, I prefer a game that's, either gameplay or story. I don't like the combo.
Yeah, I feel like
it's very common, right, in modern games. It's like, you do a gameplay section and then you get the reward, the cutscene.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of because we like gameplay and we don't like cutscenes, right? But it's like it feels so weird to reward me with something that I don't care about. But obviously the problem there is that we don't care about cutscenes, right?
Yeah, but the problem is worse because to me, let's say I actually care about the story in the game, then I don't want the fucking gameplay.
True.
So then I'm just grinding the stupid gameplay to get to the cutscenes.
Yeah, that's
so it's not good either way. That's my point. Because you can make a game. I mean, a visual novel or something is technically just cutscenes. I mean, or like a Telltale game or something, right?
Yeah,
it's just cutscenes, and I mean, I'm okay with that as long as it's interesting stories. But that's because there's no gameplay. I don't want to mix them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because like I've actually seen like people on like forums or YouTube or whatever complain about like, oh, I have to do the gameplay so I can get to the cutscene.
Yeah, and that's honestly fine if it's a good, interesting story and they just want that out of it. But the problem, yeah.
I mean, you could also make the connection to like people who say Dark Souls should have an easy mode so that you can experience the story or whatever.
Yes, you can, but I don't know.
But yeah, no, it still doesn't make any sense because if you don't want the gameplay, you don't want the gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Then you should just watch a story.
I don't think people want to experience Dark Souls. I think I'm generalizing, but I think that's just FOMO. I think it's just they want to be in on whatever that is. And I don't see why. Because there is
I agree.
There is if you remove that game is very shallow if you remove the sort of like deep mechanical. I mean, wow, I'm making it sound like it's super deep, but you know what I mean, like
yeah. If you remove the combat, I guess.
Yeah, because there isn't really a story or whatever. I mean, sure, cool environments. I don't. Maybe I'm being a bit mean here, but maybe not everyone, but definitely most of them are just FOMO stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like we've gotten our point across here?
I don't know. We'll have to ask the listeners.
Yeah, listeners, what do you think? Leave a like, a dislike, a comment, even if you disagree.
Yeah, I mean, you leave a
don't
dislike
forget
if you
to
disagree.
subscribe.
Actually, that's what you do.
Yeah. And subscribe, even if you disagree. You have to do it.
Yes, we need counterpoints to our arguments and having deep philosophical discussions in the.
We don't want a soapbox. So if you disagree with us, subscribe so you can
tell
every video we release, tell us we're stupid.
Yes. I mean, don't tell us that we're stupid. Be philosophical about it. I think you're wrong here. Blah blah blah. Right? Deep discussions about video games. Very important.
Yes.
Yes.
So, thank you everybody for listening, and have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye bye.